What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again. It is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez, coming through once again on a Toku Tuesday here at A+ More Phenomenal, guys. So thank you very much, as we've got reaction videos and reviews set up for you guys today. But today, as always, Zenkaiger is certainly up to bat as we're going to go ahead and get into episode number 18, guys. But before we do, always remember, feel free to go ahead and like these videos, subscribe, as well as hit that bell notification, guys, if you love our content and want to continue to come back for more. But this was a decent episode here this week. Not much certainly happened in here in regards to pushing forward when it comes to the storyline. Yet again, I almost feel like that's becoming the norm of this series. I feel like there's more, I guess you can call them filler episodes in a sense. I mean, enjoyable themes, maybe some laughter here and there, maybe like one or two tidbits of information about a character, and that's really about it, sort of thing. We haven't really had an episode that focuses on a big chunk of storyline in quite some time, if you will, at least for maybe like the past 3 weeks or so. And this is just another one. Solid episode, solid entry, enjoyable for the most part. But if this episode probably could have been passed up, honestly. Like if you're watching Zenkaiger as a whole, if you don't want to necessarily miss anything in regards to the actual plot of the series, this is probably an episode you could probably skip, honestly. But listen, if you appreciate the themes, if you appreciate the comedy, this one was probably right up your alley in regards to the idea of some humor, along with romance world in here that really was up to some hijinks, to certainly say the least, as we got some couples kind of put together that I was not expecting to see in here whatsoever, guys. So let's go ahead and get into our Zenkaiger review, episode number 18 for you guys today. I definitely hope you guys certainly enjoyed it. Remember, at the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions, but at the end of the day, I want to know yours. What did you guys think about this episode? So let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after we go ahead and wrap up this episode. But other than that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into this. As really love is in the air. We get the new romance world that winds up putting everyone in love with each other. At first, I thought that maybe it was just activated, like if you touch somebody sort of thing, but no, it's just based off of just love at first sight, and they're definitely not playing around with that term in here, as we get to see a couple of combinations that I was not expecting. We get to see Gaon and Jurin together in here as they start falling in love with one another. We get Majin and Flint, which I thought was actually pretty enjoyable. I think like out of the Majin and Flint one, the more memorable part of this episode for me was probably the roll call, where we got to see Flint and Majin do one of theirs together, which I thought was pretty fun. We also get to see Kaido and him falling in love with ice cream, which I got to admit, I really did love the way that the showrunners and the directors sort of played up the idea, just with some of the shot selections of the editing of back and forth, of making us think that Kaido was probably going to fall in love with his grandmother Yichan for a second there. And I was thinking to myself, they're not going to do this, are they? Like, they're not going to make this extremely awkward, are they? And they didn't, thank God, that it was in fact ice cream that Kaido certainly fell in love with it. Like, I love the idea that even Sichan, the bird, was like, we must be reinventing the way that love looks these days, right? The idea of Kaido falling in love with an inanimate object, I thought was pretty funny, to say the least. We also got to see Zox and a songwriter, like this random songwriter, this Kikai Noid runs up to him, wants him to actually be the singer for a song that she wind up writing, if you will. And I gotta say, man, Zox just continues to be the smooth criminal. Like if there are any like fangirls of this guy out there, they're probably eating up this episode, to be honest with you, because this was Zox at his smoothest, to certainly say the least. But out of these combinations, the last one I want to talk about was Vroom and Karen. Now, nowadays, I feel like anytime I hear the word Karen, I just think of a terrible ass person. So I'm glad to see that idea and the definition of a Karen certainly didn't translate into Karen here. Now, Karen is a former friend of Kaido. I guess they used to go to school together. She's now in college. Kaido's clearly gone on to do his own thing, sort of thing. So this is where we get to first be introduced to her very briefly before we get the opportunity to see that Vroom and Karen wind up sort of falling in love, right? She winds up going to the library. I think she winds up seeing a picture of Vroom, the idea that he's read so many books, and realizing that she's met him before before, goes back to go ahead and speak with Vroom over at the candy shop, and again, love at first sight winds up taking hold, and these two just kind of become romantically involved. And for me, I really enjoyed this. One, because of the fact that this is an opportunity for Vroom not only to understand what romance and love is all about, but really to see the good side and the bad side of things. I mean, this is coming from a character in Vroom who all he wants to do is learn, and all he wants to do is study. So for him to be able to experience something new in this episode was quite enjoyable for me. And to kind of see his highs, right, of just being in love with Karen and having so many great times, to seeing the lows of what that idea of jealousy and mistrust can certainly cause, right? The pain that comes from maybe a terrible breakup sort of thing. I really love just seeing Vroom have to tackle all of these emotions. And honestly, I really felt for the character. Like, I kind of pulled at my heartstrings a little bit. I felt bad for him when you see him running along the beach and just crying, never wanting to feel what love is like again, sort of thing. And he falls into the water. He's like, this is so salty. Is this what love is supposed to be? Love can be salty sometimes, my guy. So I thought I thought they did a really good job of handling him as a Kikai noid with feelings. And I think teaming him up with somebody as great as Karen, considering the fact that they have a ton of stuff in common, right? They both like learning, they both like studying, they both clearly like books and reading and things like that. Feels like a match made in heaven, if you ask me, to the point to where when we do see that the romance world is defeated and all these feelings are kind of gone, I think it says something and speaks volumes that Vroom, out of all those people, still feel sort of that emptiness inside, that loneliness, right? Like, can still kind of feel what that pain felt like, which kind of means that maybe it's a little bit more than a feeling, right? Like, maybe this certainly is a real thing. And while Karen certainly comes across as like a one-off character that we may not see again, I'm actually keeping my fingers crossed that she actually comes back and that Vroom and her continue to do something, because I think the fact that he feels this way, discouraged and maybe a little bit empty, despite realizing that it was romance world the entire time, I definitely do think that there's something there. And so if there is any character arc for anybody on this show, I definitely, when it comes to Vroom, I really would like to see him and Karen kind of eventually hit it off once again, you know, despite romance world maybe not being there anymore. So yeah, I definitely felt terrible for Vroom. I felt happy for him at times. I just really loved how they wind up showcasing Vroom and Karen here this week. So that was definitely my spotlight of the episode. Another character that winds up popping in here very briefly, but we're continuing to leave sort of breadcrumbs in regards to his story arc, adding to the mystery, and that is in fact Stacy, right? The last time we saw Stacy, he was kind of having a little bit of a come to Jesus moment, if you will, right? Trying to figure out what is it exactly that he wants. And that's exactly what he asks himself. So the fact that he asks himself that question, and then in this episode, we see him returning to the candy shop to go ahead and speak to Yichan, I think he definitely has kind of answered that question in here. I love the fact that Yichan also makes reference of Kaido, that this was in fact his treat, because Kaido did say, hey, if he ever comes back in, you know, continue to feed him, give him one on the house from me, sort of thing. So I love that she passed that message along to show that Kaido's pretty cool with the idea of you stopping by if it's going to go ahead and, you know, help you become a much better person. But really the landmark moment we have is Stacy seeing the photo of Kaido and his family, which includes his parents, if you will. And this is the first time that Stacy gets the opportunity to see them. And he immediately connects with the father and the mother, both of his parents in here. We've been seeing him remembering the voice of his mother, or at least the sweet tones of somebody motherly, if you will, associating that with his mom. So I'm kind of curious if this is in fact making that suggestion that maybe Kaido and Stacy are in fact brothers, that maybe Kaido's mom wind up having another kid, whether that was forced upon her by Barashitara, or who knows. If I can say something here real quick, just looking at Kaido's father with the big old ears, for some reason, I don't know why, when I look at his photo and then I look immediately at Barashitara, because he's got the cannons out the side of his ears or whatever, just makes him look like he's got big ears. I don't know why I can feel like there's a resemblance there. So I don't know if anything happened with Kaido's mom and Kaido's father, and they wind up turning him into Barashitara. Who knows what happened with the mom, but I don't know. I'll put a prediction out there and just say I think Kaido's dad is in fact Barashitara. especially if we're referring to the idea that Stacy is in fact his son. If that is in fact true, you know, again, we have seen the idea of relationships blossom between Kikai along with humans, so maybe they can have human kids, or maybe Kaido's mom and dad had a second child before Barashitara was maybe turned into a Kikai. I have no idea honestly here, but I do love the intrigue and the mystery that continues to surround Stacy. And again, I think they're definitely hinting at the idea that Yi-chan's definitely not his mom for sure, but now that he's had a glimpse of Kaido's father and mother, yeah, maybe there's a relation there. We'll definitely have to see how this storyline plays out. But I want to know your guys' thoughts. Is that one of your theories? Do you think Kaido and Stacy are in fact related? If you think that's what this episode was certainly pointing to, definitely go ahead and let me know your thoughts down below. A couple honorable mentions in here real quick. I thought the roll call was pretty funny. Pretty sad and depressing though, honestly, using all the terms associated with the concept of bad love or bad relationships, right? The heartbroken Sentai team, if you will. Again, they always, again, while there are aspects of this series that I'm not nearly the biggest fan of, one of the things that I continue to love is, and we've mentioned this before, when there's a theme, they deep dive into that theme, and they certainly don't hold back, and that definitely made this episode enjoyable to say the least. They did use a new gear this week in regards to Jetman. I did put a bunch of question marks near this because it looks like it winds up creating an illusion, but a really odd illusion that even confused Kaido and Sichin, because this feels very much like a 90s throwback. I mean, even the aspect ratio of the screen wind up shrinking down. It definitely had that 90s vibe, right? Like some punk stealing another person's purse, being, you know, run down, and he takes out the little mini pick, which kind of reminds me of like some punk ass kid with like this little mini switchblade or something he's gonna go stab somebody with, and then you see the slow motion slash from Vroom, and it sounds like he just stabbed him in the chest, sort of thing. I didn't get it. So I will say this, I'm wondering if I didn't get it just because of the fact that, is this a reference to something that happened in Jetman? Like, is that a moment that happened in the series that I'm just not getting because I haven't watched Jetman before? If you guys know what this reference, this illusion certainly was referencing, please go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, because it went completely over my head. But that's what it felt like, was like a 90s throwback to like some, I don't know what type of television show, if you ask me. Another honorable mention, a new combo attack we wind up seeing here between 2Kaiser and Zenkaiger. I'd never seen this before. It almost kind of reminded me of like a final wave attack where you get Zenkaiger shooting his thing off, and then you get 2Kaiser like throwing a slash or whatever the case may be, and them combining to go ahead and take down the monster this week. So I thought that was a pretty cool combo attack. I hadn't seen that before. If that's been in the series before, go ahead and let me know. But I certainly didn't pick up on it in the past. The Zord battle was just okay. I mean, like, it just came down to the idea of all the Zords falling in love with the monster, right? When they find out, like, they ask him the pivotal question, who do you love more? And he can't answer it. The fact that they're all offended that he's like playing them all, I thought was pretty funny. But other than that, it was nothing over the top impressive. This episode certainly was theme heavy, so if there was any takeaways, it was probably the Stacy stuff that we wind up getting, and really an appreciation for Vroom and Karen, who, again, I would love to see this relationship blossom. I hope Karen is a recurring character at some point in time, and I hope Vroom certainly does in fact follow his heart, because it felt like it was a match made in heaven. If anything, the Gown and Jurin stuff, I did love the little interaction that they had where you've got Gown sitting by himself and he's contemplating things, and he's like, I'm a Kikai, so, you know, like, he feels uncertain about it, clearly because of the fact that how he originally feels about other Kikai, right? Like, they just either don't compare. He's just got sour grapes against his own kind. It still confuses me, but I love the fact that Gown comes around and he puts his arm around him and he's like, am I not good enough? Am I not good enough for you? It just feels so soap opera like that. I absolutely ate it up. I absolutely ate it up. A little awkward for sure, but I had fun with it. I'm really glad that they wind up really just pushing the envelope with the gown and Jura and stuff here in this week's episode. And I also found it funny, even with the Majin and Flint stuff, right? Like while they're looking in each other's eyes, Sichin comes up and is like, "Hey guys, this is still a kid show, right?" Like that whole fourth wall breaking, if you will, right? Understanding the fact that it's a television show. Those are the little quirks and a little witty banter and a little side commentary from some of the characters that I truly appreciate when it comes to the writing of this series. But overall, decent episode. Nothing too grandiose. Another solid entry into the show. But again, when it comes to pushing the main storyline forward, we haven't really gotten too far. 18 episodes in. But listen, guys, again, that's not to deter you guys from not liking the series. If you certainly are, I definitely want to certainly know your reasons why, but definitely go ahead and continue to let your thoughts be known. What did you guys think about episode number 18? I certainly didn't mind it. Did you, though? Definitely let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. But other than that, I think that's certainly going to go ahead and do it for us here. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly joining us. And of course, we'll definitely be back next week with brand new videos for you guys, as always. So definitely go ahead and check those out whenever you get the opportunity. And then, yeah, well, I know we were not available this past weekend for A Plus More Phenomenal. We probably will not be doing an A Plus More Phenomenal this weekend. Also, just other plans have in fact sort of come up. But if anything, I'll see if maybe on a Friday or maybe sometime this week, if I can go ahead and give you like a special A Plus More Phenomenal episode. So we'll definitely see. But other than that, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for us here today. So as always, listen, if you continue to like our content, do us a big favor, hit that thumbs up. It definitely goes a long way. And hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification. We also do have other videos for you guys right over here to certainly check out if you want to go ahead and get it caught up to our A Plus More Phenomenal. And definitely don't forget to go ahead and support us on patreon.com/A Plus Opinions if you certainly like to, as we've got exclusive and early access content. But until next time, guys, do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A Plus. Full throttle, nonstop. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.